Plantar fasciitis in women really seems to spike during, well, the perimenopause, menopause transition. Notice this is men, the blue line. This is combined men and women. But look at that drastic difference. Let me show you the article that this is from. This is from Rosenberg et al. From 2019, Incidence, Prevalence, and Management of Plantar Heel Pain, a retrospective cohort study in a Dutch primary care. So this was a very general study, but it looked at a lot of different things about plantar fasciitis, which they call plantar heel pain, which is formerly known as plantar fasciitis, which they report is 11 to 15% of all foot complaints requiring professional care in adults, and this is going to a primary care physician. Plantar heel pain affects highly physical active people such as runners, but is also typical for middle-aged 40 to 60-year-old females who are overweight. We'll come back to that. There aren't articles that talk about perimenopause, menopause, and plantar fasciitis, but this particular article included men, women, and primary care, and I found it very fascinating that the peak incidence of plantar fasciitis for females is 50 years, and I'd like to remind you that the average age of menopause in the U.S. is 51. Now, this is not a study done in the U.S., but I will tell you it is fascinating that that is probably late perimenopause for a lot of people, which we know perimenopause really affects your muscles, where also as your estrogen declines, it is affecting how your tissues remodel, it's affecting your tendons, your inflammatory things are not being managed well because estrogen was helping broker your inflammation. And I want you to see this graph in its entirety, okay? So in this study, the red line is the females, the blue line is males, and the black line is together. And 35 is peak bone and muscle health, okay? And then men and women really veer in how they have plantar fasciitis. Men, it does increase age-related changes, but in women, this severe spike, okay? What does this tell us? Something very important. And I didn't tell you guys this yesterday when I made a video about plantar fasciitis, sharing this data. I couldn't find any articles on PubMed for menopause, perimenopause, and plantar fasciitis. I had to change a lot of different search terms to find anything. And instead of perimenopause and menopause, I found that the research for feet that were specific to women, they would just say older women. And what they seem to talk about a lot was BMI and being overweight, and just the load, the tensile load, and basically that the heavier and bigger you were, the greater the load on your foot, and it was really kind of a hurtful kind of trend I saw. And so I didn't put it in yesterday's video. I would really love to see a menopause study, and I would love to see what happens if we added in hormones, healthy lifestyle changes, such as stretching the calves, strengthening the lower leg, self-care, self-mobilization, good shoe selection, helping to reduce inflammation. I'd love to see a good study that actually got to the heart of plantar fasciitis, but who's going to fund that? Nobody funds that stuff.